Hey guys, and welcome to part 1 to What If Naruto turned into a female sniper ninja. And yeah, I know, you guys was probably expecting What If Naruto turned into a female civilian, part 3, though I started listening to part 2 at that time and kind of something as that I pretty much didn't have enough really time to think of a what if to continue onwards, and I kind of also started confusing myself as I started not paying attention, and yeah, I kind of went screw it, and this popped into my head, though it was going to be named something differently, but this idea had been in my head for a while prior to actually What If Naruto was strong. So yeah, anyway, and yeah, so yes, this will be somewhat a kind of male Naruto turning into a female, and just this not, I don't just mean Naruto just be casually kind of maybe standing 20 miles away from like his target and killing them, like maybe somewhat in the future, but that would be a kind of somewhat a kind of maybe the occasional every maybe 10 to 15th mission maybe, but it'd be more just something she could do, but more just kind of just hand fighting, and yeah, and well, okay then, so then, well, how does Naruto, or at least seemingly gain, would be able to gain the ability to shoot something at 20 miles away, or even slowly turn into a female? Well, it'd be during the Hyuga incident, during when Naruto would be kidnapped. Naruto, or at least somewhat being able to kind of maybe somewhat tell the gal, the child, the gal he'd saved maybe a few hours ago from some bullies to, well, not even that, definitely, or at least maybe a month or so ago, potentially, as they seem to be about the same age, if not, well, yeah, about the same age. So but yeah, so somewhat, and of course, being a sort of natural sensor, it'd maybe pick up on maybe Hinata, or at least this odd kind of feeling he kind of got around, or at least this odd feeling, somewhat he'd kind of know that he should go to this in this direction. He didn't exactly know why, but something was telling him that he had to go, like he had the gut feeling that if he didn't go, it could be bad if he didn't, pretty much. And yeah, so he'd run as fast as his legs could carry him, jumping potentially from maybe rooftop to rooftop, or at least potential treetop or that, as they were clearly at this point probably in the academy and that. So yeah, nevertheless, he would end up kind of, or at least being able, knowing who, or at least somewhat known Kono potentially, or whatever. Anyway, he'd managed to somewhat kind of catch up as the person, once he would be going full, or at least wouldn't exactly be going full speed, as you'd know that's what other would probably think you'd go. After all, if you're going to kidnap someone, you're not just going to exactly run 100% off in a direction. After all, especially some being in some village, so that's what they're going to expect you to do potentially, and of course that they'd, and yeah, and he'd know he couldn't exactly link around, so he would go somewhat fast, but he'd know he'd have to get through the gates. He couldn't get over, that was the only way through it. So yeah, nevertheless though, it'd end up feeling someone with a decent chakra reserve now to coming bouncingly bound down, it'd I don't think about, or at least, speeding up. It's only a person, you can maybe take from, on when you decide to stop, let the person catch up, and after a few seconds, it would just be a small boy. Seeing that and feeling the chakra reserves would immediately know that this is either the Nine-Tailed Tenshirki or Kushina, or some Kushina Uzumaki's son, child, and would know that the Raikaga would definitely like him. After all, Naruto would be the only known Prince Uzumaki pretty much roughly in existence. Or at least to probably Kumo and Konoha's knowledge. Not Danzo's, but definitely that. Anyway, so of course from there, it's kind of fight, or at least a very, one-sided sort of fight, though would definitely occur, and though just Naruto's natural, slight, higher speed maybe, or at least that would allow him to stay would somewhat be able to slightly avoid him being unpredictable, would make it somewhat just more sort of annoying, though eventually, after a few more seconds or that, he would sense more people bound down on him, and knowing that they would be here within a few seconds, he would screwed and he'd think about what uses this blind Tenshirki. It's not, would pull out a kunai and would safely quickly, get within, his guard easily, and would slice, across his eyes, making him blind. Now, of course, from there, though, as he do so, Naruto would manage to grab onto his arm, of course, causing him to somewhat delay as he would try and, fling, get, Naruto off of him, as Naruto would kind of, yell, not exactly cry, but definitely yell out in pain. And of course, them hearing, somewhat, all these, here's an Anbu, and even, the Hyuga had, hearing that, Hiruzen would know that was, Naruto. Did he take two, or what? What the hell was Naruto doing in the forest of all things? Though they would, speed up, and of course, from there, of course, the Hyuga had would, kill the person, though he would, or at least, firstly knock the person away, grab and knock out his daughter after, or at least, he'd probably easily kill the person, and, somewhat, or at least someone, hearing, voice from the back asking if that was, his, a dad, would decide to, knock her out. After all, probably wouldn't exactly be good if you, somewhat, kind of saw the, dead body of the person who just tried to kidnap you, and also, a boy who simply is crying blood from his eyes. That would definitely be traumatic, and, even in canon that would be traumatic, so that's the only viable thing, is that even in canon he'd knocked her out. And another thing I kind of think is also, or at least somewhat odd, is that how did he, how did, the shinobi manage to get into, the Hyuga, estate? They'd have, the only way he managed to get in was either A, he was already in there, which I think probably something most people would go with, or it was a kind of inside job that one of the, branch members, in this case a female, would, kind of, want to get back, at the, head and that, and, women can't be bitches to one another, savages, at one another, so this would kind of, just, she, wouldn't, give a damn, she wanted to hurt the head, and if that meant, ruining a child's life, so should it, there's just the Shinobi right, kill or be killed. So yeah, even and yeah, so from there, that would be kind of how Shinobi in this this time around, potentially even in canon, could have happened. And yeah, so from there, of course, they would realize, or at least someone would realize that something definitely wasn't right, because, or at least there was no way he should have got in, that it was definitely an inside job, and of course Hiruzen would obviously want to know who did it, to punish the person, and or at least, and of course you'd know that Hiruzen would potentially punish the entire, could potentially punish the entire clan for, or at least Naruto's, potentially, indirect, but it's still caused by this potential, sort of incident and that, and if, he had bad, guards and that, then it may have not happened, and the person could have been, caught a lot sooner, and probably still alive. And yeah, though of course as they would do the inner looking and that, of course his brother would volunteer to obviously kill him, to take his place for his brother, and also to give Naruto his eyes once he's kind of had it. Though they would of course disagree that it'd be obviously something suspicious of that, of his eyes being gone, and they would be somewhat, or at least they would be somewhat annoyed, and that person also alarmed them that could also be a bomb or something like that, and could start off a the fourth Shinobi World War. It could, well, not even that, it would just reignite the war that was starting to wind down by this point. And yeah, so because with that though, at least a day later they would find, or at least they would find out whom it was female and that, and his would say, or at least would say that they could obviously by somebody of death, or just by her being eternally blind, as as a form of punishment, could just take her eyes out. After all, it would be for punishment, though, because it being remember, of course, we didn't, yeah, though Hiruzen would obviously, though they would or at least wind up with her dying, and they would still put the eyes within Naruto, allowing him to be able to see. Of course, all this time, Naruto would wake up, right? Well, no, they would keep him under anesthesia, anesthetic, they'd keep him knocked out to sleep. And yeah, with Hiruzen kind of quietly hoping / praying that Naruto's mind would just kind of put that in the corner of his mind, like, you're not going to, meh, don't need to remember that, and kind of, just put off to, the side, as he'd be able to see that would be contrasting to what he felt and couldn't, he'd, feel, pain from his eyes, and he, wouldn't be able to see and that and whatever, but now he could, and no pain, so, yeah, and yeah, anyway, so, well, yeah, that's, something would happen, they were, with Hill and doing somewhat, or at least a check-up on that eyes, or at least, Naruto and the eyes now implanted into his head, they'd see the eyes went from maybe a, kind of, pale pink, pale red, green, whatever, to blue, his, I think it's like a bright blue, baby blue colour, his eye colour, and the only, maddening that would be permitted to, be that, and was the one to healing out his eyes, and that would be the only, or at least, the less that knew, the better. So, yeah, but of course, Talhausen, and Talhausen would assume that it was, the fox for whatever reason, and that while with it, Nato's eyes looking like normal, no one's not going to assume anything, and they're also not assuming he'd have the, BQ, and that could potentially, draw more attention to him, and, increase his likelihood of being killed. His eyes being back to normal would lower the chance of him being, killed, as he wouldn't seemingly presume to be a part of the Hyuga clan now. And, yeah. And so, though that would somewhat, of course, bring out, somewhat point in his own mind that maybe the fox could somehow, fix whatever was wrong, or at least could maybe somewhat activate the dojutsu dormant within, the eyes. After all, as the dojutsu, or at least the female had never, the woman had never actually activated the dojutsu when she was, a child or that age, just never activated, and the fox would, had found out, and also had, decided as a kind of maybe some way to maybe ruin his, Jinchuriki's will and that. And or maybe could trick him that, use my chakra could, revert the process of you turning into, female, manipulating him, and that even more, so he could be free, so he could rip the seal, free himself. And yeah, after all, he doesn't exactly want to die with his Jinchuriki, that was not a fun thing, as he'd have to wait 9 or so years to reform, and even then he'd still be weak, so something he'd want to avoid, the best cost. Plus it'd also make the potential fight, when you decide to finally break free, that much more maybe funner for him, maybe, and well, maybe if he's good enough, maybe, a tiny bit of him will maybe and if he's maybe good enough of a fight, that did make you a tiny portion of his chakra within Naruto that could regenerate itself to not kill him. After all, only a very small portion of the fox's chakra needed to be within Naruto to keep him alive. We knew that from Naruto the last. And yeah, though how little, not sure, but definitely a little amount, a small amount. And yeah, anyway, so from there, Naruto would, or at least once he came, his eyesight, he would indeed, or at least once he'd wake up, he wouldn't even, think anything of it. If anything, he wouldn't even remember, and would just be confused and to why he was in. He would just say that he was probably just that he's maybe having a bit of memory loss, but just not very, because that would be somewhat confused, but would believe the somewhat the old man. After all, he wouldn't really hide anything massively life changing from him, right? Because he's more than happy to, and yeah. Anyway, from there though, as Naruto would age, and from once he'd be actually 10 years old, it'd be on string, as it'd be his first time failing the getting exams, as on string, just being someone in a bit of emotional turmoil. It momentarily, for maybe 2 or 3 seconds, long enough for him to realise something would, somewhat enough to kind of be shocked and that, and wonder what the hell it was, and maybe he could do it again, long enough for that to, kind of, somewhat occur, and yeah, so a second or two, and yeah, Naruto would, wonder what the heck just happened to his vision, and that for a split second or two he could see all around him completely. Hey, BJS, there's a, blind spot. I'd say with, Grimmer wanting, the 9 out Fox, Grimmer wanting to give him the, or at least, that the, Ollies would also patch, someone patch that out, would figure out how to, do so, and why not, just make him even less likely to die, any chance that Naruto has got of, potentially dying from the dojutsu, or at least any potential area that could be improved to decrease his risk of dying from the, using the dojutsu, aka the blind spot, which would be the only issue, would be fixed by the Fox itself. After all, it would be an area in which I think the Fox could just improve it. After all, it's a bit weird to have just a blind spot just right there, somewhere. And yeah. Anyway, nevertheless, from there, of course, Naruto then from there would try, but after so many boys, would try, but to no avail. But to the point where he'd eventually just think that maybe he just daydreamed it or something like that. Or maybe his shinobi skills had just gotten that much better that he could potentially even somehow, in a maybe very calm state, could see around him. And also something else is that Naruto's, or at least some veins around the eyes wouldn't pop out like they would for Hinata, Neji, and all the other Hyugas that have the ability to use the Byakugan. That as bad. The reason why would be Naruto's chakra would be just naturally more denser than theirs, and that would be enough, or at least denser, for them to not really maybe appear, or just the Fox deciding to just kind of get away with that odd aspect, of it. There's no real necessarily need for, those, the, veins around the eyes to pop out. Yeah. Anyway, so from there, Naruto would, from there, and from there, time would pass, and kind of the, or at least up, or at least it would then be, naturally, and from there, the next thing, not at least next page point would be the, I forgot what it's called now, it would be the, music incident, which would pretty much go practically like in canon. The only thing that would be, or at least where it sort of changed, would be where Naruto would tell Mizuki that he'd give back to him 1,000-fold, as he'd do the motorcycle jutsu, making 1,000 physical, actual, solid copies of himself. And of course, it'd be at that time where Hizen would walk out, telling, them that, Naruto would be back now with the actual perpetrator. Because they'd somewhat grown, though they would go, research was off now. And also that, Hizen would get back, but he wouldn't notice anything, different with Naruto's eyes, as, well, Naruto's chakra was dense enough, and also the Fox, that the, veins wouldn't really appear. Plus also, the, view from, his crystal ball wouldn't really allow him to see it. Or, more so you just wouldn't focus on, kind of, he's in a fight now, maybe he's got his eye, the eyes open, due to, Ray now is emotionally, and, wouldn't really pop into his head. And, and so from there, and of course, Iruka wouldn't really see anything different, because it'd be dark and that, so trying to notice Naruto's, eyes, or, plus he'd be more dumbstruck by the fact Naruto had, had managed to do the motorcycle jutsu and made 1,000 of himself. And, so, yeah, from there, Naruto would beat up Mizuki, but the BQ would activate, allow Naruto to see Mizuki's chakra points. Seeing that and seeing odd blue lines, he'd figure, and at one point knowing that he'd seen those same thing in him, somewhat figured that was probably the actual chakra network, and would kind of hit, somewhat the points in that was, kind of also beating him up and that, and nevertheless, eventually Iruka would call out to him, his clones would dispel, he would somewhat calm down, and he'd, turn around, his eyes being back to normal, rubbing the back of his head, going, hee, I guess I kind of overdid it, Harry Iruka Sensei, which from there, stuff, from that it'd go like in canon, though there would be some changes, but not really anything really too visually, so his head, body frame would be tiny, or at least wouldn't even really change. His hair would be slightly the tiniest bit more flatter, but not really all that much. And you could, say his penis and that would be a bit smaller. Again, barely perceptible, not by much. It'd be mainly kind of in his head. Mainly, it'd be more so instead of a kind of like, at least it'd be a bit slightly maybe hesitant to do, say cut his hair, once it got, say, long enough for him that he'd cut it, it'd be maybe like, it'd be maybe a tiny incy bit more resistant to cut his hair, but nothing, you wouldn't really notice the hesitation, it'd just do it. Yeah, anyway, so from there, well, yeah, as I said, Canon events would kind of, go, something by, now to end up, doing, from there, even the, month between, once they, Team 7 gets accepted as, or at least once, Kakashi passes, Team 7, Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto as a team to, their first, mission outside of the village, the Land Race mission, would pretty much gone out in canon. The thing is that Naruto would probably try and activate and control the BQ in his eyes, to which he wouldn't, tell Hiruzen, about what he kind of experienced, his eyes, as, Hiruzen had lied to him, and, he'd feel somewhat betrayed by Hiruzen, maybe not enough to, straight up, kind of hate him, but at least enough to not really tell him at this moment, about, his eyes and that, and, yeah. Anyway, so from there, yeah, doing that, but he would try to activate his eyes, to which he would be able to, but it'd be uncontrolled, so it'd be one point he'd, be able to see completely, around him, another he'd see through the walls, another he'd see incredibly, it'd look like he was, his face was, right at the damn wall, and then another you could see the chakra in his hands again, and, yeah. And also, did I? Anyway, he wouldn't know that, at least he'd presume, the red lines in, Mizuki would be the chakra network, and kind of looking at his own hands slightly, you'd realise that it probably was, as he had that, like, kind of similar line or lines as well, so, yeah. Anyway, moving on from there, or at least the kind of start of the Land Race mission would kind of go like in canon up until the point of where, Naruto kind of freeze at the, Demon Brothers, like, as they perceive to simply bear down on him with the want and that to kill after Kakashi, seemingly dying and that. He wouldn't just stand there frozen solid. He would be there, solid like he did in canon, but he'd remember, mind would go screw it that time, then simply, I'm going to die. Why not remember the traumatic experience of that night, which he would, he'd end up, remembering what happened that, night, the night simply, in Naruto was kidnapped, all that. He didn't really remember anything from that. And yeah, he'd somewhat, and yeah, he'd, live through that, and just as he'd simply get, blinded, or, just as, go, across simply his eyes, and he'd, all his, he'd, feel, he'd simply feel, get momentarily, found pain, black, and, yeah, when Kakashi, and just as he'd about to yell out that, Kakashi would, go, now, kind of, somewhat, kind of say, down to as he would, probably tell Kakashi of the advance once he did pass, Team 7. Yeah, so that potentially Naruto may very little potentially have of awakening the Byakugan due to Nighthead Fox changing his eyes color and potentially being able to trigger the Byakugan because of the fox. So yeah, seeing that, it was probably clear that, and he was in, and that Kakashi seeing, or at least the way Naruto seemed was that he was, remembering that night, the night he'd, his mind had, pretty much locked down, and they'd pretty much proceeded to kind of try and lose the key to, or whatever. And yeah, the memory that was, suppressed in that. And yeah, though Kakashi would kind of tell him that, if they don't, deal with the poison in his arm now, trying to kind of get, before he says something potentially, now to kind of look at, he'd promise, he'd grab a gun, I promise that, he'd, not freeze again to his hand, which, Kakashi would go, well, that was one way, and that may have been a bit cool and all, but that he may now, he may now die of blood loss. Not, of course, Pale and Kakashi would go, it simply, what, he managed to get out his mind off of what just kind of happened, what he just went through, and he'd have to talk, potentially talk to Naruto once they got to the, to Tasuna's home. Potentially back to the village, whichever one, to which of course they'd end up voting to continue. And yeah, from that kind of region I end up going by, Kakashi would end up soon, waking up, telling them, about all the Zamza still being alive and all that. And that's something that they'd pretty much, the adventure would kind of go up like in canon with with somewhat knowledge, Naruto not only learn how to control his, not only doing tree walking, but kind of by himself occasionally when he could, trying to, do his, learn to, do his eyes, the Byakugan to, to no avail, to no success. And yeah, it would and yeah, even after, the week and all, pretty much the, kind of events would go up until the point of where, Sasuke would be in his arms, as, as Sasuke would, have now to promise him that he'd go and kill his brother for him, so that he, could, avenge the, similarly, the Uchiha clan for, and yeah, whatever. Naruto would obviously promise him that, as, Sasuke would seemingly die, of course, go into a death-like state. And yeah, from there, Naruto would trigger the 9 Towers' chakra, his anger and that, and sorrow, but would also finally, what he'd been trying to do would, somewhat would also trigger the chakra, or at least the ability to see the chakra network, as he'd figure that if he and Sasuke could somehow slowly pass it down, fast enough that he could shut down potentially their chakra enough, or at least disrupt their chakra enough that the person just whacks into the mirror or something like that. And yeah, Because from there, Naruto wouldn't even pay attention to that. It was just, raw sending, the Senbon away from him before proceeding to smash. Proceeding to, go, yeah, you're not going back into a mirror and smash and, sending, Haku flying right through the mirror. Of course, with then the other shattering as well from probably the sonic boom of the punch. Because it had to be faster than speed of sound because the ice shattered. So, yeah, very hard. And, anyway, from there, of course, the mask would, break. Naruto, just before, punch would, just before his punch would land, would see, that his Haku. It would calm down enough that the Nine-Tails Fox chakra would leave him, but his eyes were, it managed to keep the chakra flowing to his eyes. And of course from there, they would end up hearing, after maybe a conversation or two, well, like in canon, Haku would perceive to, try to leave, like in canon, apologise to Naruto that maybe, in another life they could be friends. Naruto, that he had to do something. Now would manage to hit Haku's, or at least would just in time manage to hit Haku's chakra point, to which would, of course, with all this and disabling pretty much Haku's entire arm. Of course, from chakra flowing, that would perceive to disturb, the jutsu he's trying to do. Of course, sure, Haku could cast jutsu with one hand, but when you don't have chakra flowing through one of your arms, as well as your chakra probably now being artificially denser, would be more difficult to control in my mind. And so of course they would perceive, or and perceive, would perceive to hear, seemingly, whatever it would sound like for the Chidori to go through, the seemingly chest. So Kakashi would miss the heart, but it would still end up, Zabuza would still end up dying, it'd still end up bleeding out. Haku would manage to make it over to, Zabuza, obviously crying and, that, death, or, he's going to die and, apologise that he should have been better, though, because Zabuza, realising that, Blackie, within canon, when, Haku had died and Naruto taught no jutsu to him, that, and would probably tell him that he, or, to kind of, live all that, and, and that in the way he died, how he kind of wanted to, out like a shinobi, like a ninja, and, and to not try and just live for him, to live for himself, to find a new reason to live, and to not try and join him, in the grave and that, and maybe would try and say something else, but would end up, or maybe would say something else, but would end up dying. And of course Kakashi, or at least, seeing that, Haku seemingly, could do, all these mirrors and that, and knowing that, was struggling, or at least they would seemingly, Kakashi, Sasuke and Naruto was seemingly struggling with Haku, and now, all of a sudden, Haku couldn't save, Zabuza in time. It'd be a bit weird, though. Kakashi would, come to the senses that Naruto probably maybe shut down the, either a chakra point or two, enough to disturb Haku's chakra from, or at least enough to disturb Haku's chakra network and, chakra control to do active jutsu, to which could have wind up with him sacrificing his life instead. Though of course you can think too much more, as of course that would be a small clap, as of course it would be Gato. And of course though from there, of course, Kakashi would do that, time would ask about, or Sakura, somewhat would, to which they'd kind of look away, though Haku this time, being alive and not being the one dead, would state that, at least, now seeing them kind of looking down and still being sad, and so a part of him would want to keep it, in nature, but also knowing this was a mission, so it was potentially going to happen. And yeah, that's, he'd end up, saying that Sasuke actually wasn't dead, and that he was just in a death-like state, that, like, he'd put Zabuza in kind of that time ago, when they first met. And yeah, because hearing that Sakura would kind of be, sort of through that, Sasuke was actually still sort of alive, and would start, pulling out the Senbon. And yeah, that would of course relieve both, Sasuke, not Sasuke, Naruto and Kakashi. And yeah, though of course it'd be doing, all is just as, they'd be, relieved and that, Sasuke was actually alive. They would hear the clapping from Gato, and what, Gato would say. And yeah, because, Haku would be sort of, annoyed and that, pissed, angry, yeah, though Kakashi, and, knowing he'd probably have to kill them, and looking over to Naruto, and would sort of look over and seeing, how kind of Haku is, and knowing that Haku probably couldn't probably fully control his chakra now, would tell Haku to go back, to take Zabuza's body, up, probably, around with, Sakura, and would call out to Sakura to protect, the, Sasuke. She'd kind of do so, binding up, somewhat shakily, scared. And yeah, of course, Haku would look at Kakashi, and Kakashi would simply go, remember what, Zabuza said, and just may not be able to, be able to use a jutsu right now. And yeah, of course, Haku knew Kakashi's right, but it's still, and yeah, though Naruto would simply go, well, if it's anything, Haku, I could, at least I'll kill Gato for, using that, as a kind of proxy form of revenge. Haku would somewhat begrudge, maybe, somewhat nod, and yeah, would from there go, and yeah, of course, from there, they would talk just as, they'd back to, charge and that, Inari would, send the kunai and that, and yeah, with that, won't take stop moving, and Gato would go and just kind of go, well, all these men, you can, have with, some or, the, some women, or, whatever. And yeah, of course, just, inspiring his men even more. And yeah, of course, from there, now to make maybe 2, 3, maybe probably, well, yeah, at the very least, probably 5, probably, do 5 clones, have the, or I don't even think we get a reason why Naruto just only popped out 5 shadow clones when he could have easily popped out 500, maybe even just 250, though in this case it would be due to the drain of both the stamina drain of the 9th chakra, but also the drain of, at least somewhat the, and also a bit of the chakra drain from the eyes, itself, them combined together would put enough of a somewhat drain that it would be, yeah, it would, but yeah, it'd be feeling kind of mentally, or at least physically kind of exhausted, and maybe in a bit of pain from the 9th chakra, so you couldn't exactly focus enough to split chakra into enough portions to make that many, or was still getting a hang of that better chakra control, and yeah, so you'd be able to make 5, and yeah, from there, one of his shadow clones, while he's doing the fight, one of his as Gato would slowly start stepping back as he would see the fight not going his way. A clone of Naruto would go over to Kakashi, would proceed to give him a kunai, which would be a clone of Naruto. Kakashi would be somewhat confused, so the clone would just tell him to throw it. To which Kakashi would, he'd be kind of confused, but he'd then remember, what, Naruto and Sasuke, done to free him from, Zamazan, would realise that this was probably a shadow clone, and that it was just, insurance that if, Gato managed to move, the clone could still, pop out and kill him. So, yeah, an insurance to, insurance as in, Gato nevertheless, if he dodged it or not, he'd die. Yeah. And yeah, of course, not Zabzal, Gato would indeed dodge the thrown kunai by Kakashi. Though, of course, Gato would kind of, laugh and would tell the, would tell the Shinobi that he'd have to do better, to which Naruto, or at least they kind of, Naruto's shell clone would, or at least the, would release the transmission and go, and would somewhat say in a bit of a slightly just happy tone, decided to just kind of, be, kind of almost terrorize, Gato would somewhat would spin around, shot, the kunai was now gone, and in its place was, similarly, one of the boy's clones. And would go, and would somewhat kind of be something would walk backwards as Naruto would similarly, would similarly walk forward with a bit of a smile, or maybe even a just plastered smile on his face, looking a bit excited, maybe even to just terrorize Gato or and that kunai bad. And yeah, as Gato would say, as it hit him the side of the bridge, I can I can give you anything, money, women, slaves, anything, just name it. Naruto just similarly Shadow Clone similarly look even more happy and go, well, if you can give me anything, then somewhat saying they'd cheer voice your life, as Gato would look, kind of horrified in that, as Naruto perceived to kill him, and it would somewhat sound they kind of slightly shiver, somewhat down his spine, as he'd, hear, seeing Naruto sad, sound, happy at that, and even somewhat, though it would be a massive, demoralization, to the rest of Gato's army, and, well, some villagers were, were looking at, if any of them escape them, try and charge at them, that they were going to get one hell of a beating, if not die, and they would just go, maybe a few that, survived would go, screw this, our boss is now dead, I'm not dealing with this no more, and would, they would retreat to the boats, and, from there, Kakashi would go over to Naruto and would tell Naruto that they would talk somewhat later tonight, knowing that Naruto would definitely need to be, would need to have a talk. He would have to talk with Naruto to help him potentially through his first, few kills, probably 10, 25, not 50 to 100 kills, so, yeah. Plus, Sasuke would also, be awake by this point and would probably even want to have jumped in to, kill, to get his first kill, but of course he couldn't really move. And also seeing the person that had, put him in this death-like state would be in a kind of confusion what the hell was also going on. And yeah, Sakura would, kind of tell him that she didn't even really know herself, and yeah, though Haku would probably tell them, would tell them that, as Abzar was now dead, and, simply get to his appearance and whatever, that they weren't really enemies, though we didn't exactly believe Haku, unless, Kakashi said so, and, yeah, of course, after that, Sasuke would, ask what, the enemy, why did they seem to be, so fine with the enemy being around them, to which Kakashi would simply, say that, well, at least, that they weren't exactly that enemy, or at least Haku wasn't that enemy now, and even, somewhat look over to Haku and even offer Haku a, that could, go back to Konoha, as after all, only Zabzar was the missing ninja, not really him. He wasn't known as a missing ninja, thus, you'd be able to, be accepted by Konoha, a lot better, you would be able to, be accepted by Konoha. And, yeah, it would look a bit pensive, though it'd be, something, and then afterwards, say like, why not, you can finally maybe, heal people, kind of save people instead of killing them, pretty much, kind of that, that he could, become an actual medic in that, sure, he may have to occasionally kill, someone, or that, but, yeah, we could join that medic in, Konoha's medic and actually save people and even bring children into this world, babies, and, well, yeah, he didn't really have anywhere to go, so, yeah, thus, from there, they would end up agreeing to go back with them, and of course the bridge would be built slightly faster in canon. Kakashi would have that talk with Naruto during the night about, fast kills and whatever, and pretty much that, never really get, any easier. They just learn to, kind of accept it, or that, they just, you just learn to deal with it. And, yeah. Though, of course, Naruto would, bring up a point that he didn't exactly like it, to which Kakashi would, say that he didn't like, that he didn't like himself. And that he himself doesn't, like killing. And that he would do it if it's really the only way. And, yeah, and that, remind Naruto that killing's always on the table. It's the last thing to do. If you can negotiate your way out of a fight, then so be it. You do that. If you don't need to kill to solve a fight, to solve an issue, then so be it. And yeah, Naruto would kind of agree with that, and would kind of see that would be in a way to peace kind of deal. And yeah, though Kakashi would just make sure and go that, sometimes though, everyone will, sometimes, you may spare someone to then have to almost immediately kill them, as they may, someone, lie and try and, get you to trip up and that. Yeah, anyway, from there, as I said, bridge would be built, it'd be called the Great Naruto Bridge, to the fact that people, hope back to the land of waves, and as well as being the one to kill Gato. And yeah, and so, well, yeah, it'd be called, as well, the Hero of Waves. And yeah, though, of course, from there though, I could see, Kakashi giving, Zabzar's sword to Haku to it, or at least, doing that, and, to which Haku may just, put it into the ground, to use as a, grave marker, or whatever that's called, tombstone, whatever it's called, but yeah. Anyway, from there, once, of course, from there, 2.5, 3 weeks would go by, and during that time, once they would, rest, recover, and build the bridge, Naruto would also, in his free time, would try and, again, do, train a bit with his eyes. Yeah, though it would only be, they'd, someone come back, a month would go by, as, during that month, the week, the week break that Tizuna gave them. And yeah, plus also, somewhat doing that, then 3 weeks. Team 7 would be, Kakashi would, train, or at least, would also teach Team 7 water walking as well, mainly because Naruto needing probably, better chakra control. And as well, he'd, or at least, or at least he'd have, or at least, like someone, Sasuke and Sakura and probably even Haku would be, told of Naruto having, the BQ again, and, kind of how he did it, and to for now keep it on the absolute down low. And why would Haku kind of be with them? Well, it'd be more so that he'd have to kind of be watched, and kind of, you'd have Haku, train with them mainly, acting as, a stronger opponent, someone who's kind of is, within their somewhat-ish age gap. And, yeah, just, yeah, anyway. Though, and also during that month, of course, as I said, or at least 3 weeks, Kakashi would also train them, and, train Sasuke to use his Sharingan better, and Naruto to use his BQ better, to the point where finally, Naruto would have control over what he can, do, finally with his eyes, which would also get to the point where Naruto's hair would actually physically angle someone down. And he'd also, or at least, he'd seen it himself, and he'd tried, cutting his hair, and it didn't seemingly go back like he originally thought, and when he'd go to cut his hair even shorter, he'd somewhat hesitate. Not with the, or at least not with the back up, or at least with the, feeling of I don't want my hair getting any shorter, and more of the, like, that's not, going to work, and yeah, he would try and cut his hair a bit shorter, but it, the feeling was proven right, and yeah, though he would feel something wasn't exactly right and deep, down, something was definitely off, but you couldn't exactly put his finger on it. And yeah, and it'd be by this point that his, penis that would definitely be a bit, smaller. It'd have a bit, bit more of a feminine body, and it just would maybe grow out a tiny bit. And yeah, barely anything, but they would grow out a tiny bit. And yeah, with that, guys, I am going to end this part here. So if you have enjoyed this, tell me in the comments down below. And of course, if you want part 2, do say, guys, and yeah, hope you guys have a good day or night, depending on wherever you are and whenever you see this, and good bye.